Okay, so this is going to be viewer questions answered, okay, by the cards. So I hope you like the video. If you like the video, please do like the video. And if you haven't subscribed, please do subscribe. And thank you very much for watching. Hi, I'm Mark, and this is my journey through tarot. Come with me. I'm just so lucky that you viewers do offer me up some questions that you have and you'd like me to address with the cards, and I love that. So I hope you do more of it. But we've got 5 questions from 5 different viewers, and they range from royal stuff to Florida politics, mostly royal stuff. But one on the Florida politics, Ron DeSantis. So we're going to dig in on Prince William. We're going to dig in on Harry. Harry's kids' titles, William and Camilla, and then for Florida, it'll be DeSantis versus Charley Crist after this hurricane situation. So we'll get into it now. Here we go. This is going to be interesting. I'm going to use 2 different decks because I've got royal questions and I've got politic USA questions, and so I think what I'll do is I'll use this for the royal questions and I'll use this for the politic USA questions. So we'll put that one there right now because we're going to start out with questions from you guys. So I love this deck. Look at that. And as usual, I'll have at the end of the video talk about these 2 decks if you want to know more. Okay, let me put all this away and we'll get started. So the first question is from In the Magic XXX. That's his handle, I guess you'd say, on Facebook. In the Magic XXX. And the question is, will Prince William be king? And In the Magic XXX seems to think that there's some sort of a Nostradamus prediction about that. There's going to be more questions we're going to ask about Charley Crist and Governor DeSantis. We're going to ask about Harry and healing the relationship with William. We're going to ask who decided not to give Harry's kids their titles, and is William on board with Camilla being queen? But before we do any of that, let's have just a moment of meditation. Okay, so first question, In the Magic XXX, will Prince William be king? Will Prince William? Well, we know that, theoretically, he'll be king, but I guess you really want to know is, will it happen? And so there's not any, I guess the implication there is that perhaps the monarchy might be abolished before Prince William gets a chance to be king. So that means Charles has just a few years, because he's not going to be in his 90s when he goes. He's already, in his early 70s? So, we can look at 10, 15, maybe 20 years, but and will he mess up the monarchy in that amount of time? But this question is not about him, it's about Prince William. And In the Magic XXX wants to know, will Prince William be king? Let's do 3 cards. Okay, 1, 2, will Prince William actually be king? 3. See what we get here. Okay, first card for will Prince William be king? This is the Magician. Well, that's an interesting card to get for this. So the Magician brings with him, well, it's the first person that the Fool meets on their journey. You know, the Fool, they start out on a journey. That's the Major Arcana, 1 through 21. And the first person they meet, the Fool meets, is the Magician. And this Magician has all the elements of the tarot to make their what they want to happen. It has coins, has cups, has wands, and has swords. So it has everything it needs to get a job done. And so, and then the question being, will William be king? Maybe. Looks like that's a yes card. Next one for will William be king is the High Priestess. That's pretty good. Again, number 2 in the Major Arcana, so it's falling right in line. And the High Priestess brings with her, you know, all the knowledge that the position requires, the standing between truth and justice. And, you know, this is, you know, almost as good as the Empress or the Hierophant. So that's interesting. And then the third card, will William be king, is the Ace of Wands. He's got a plan. Ace of Wands, wands are actions, plans, forward movement, and the Ace, of course, is a great big plan. And although I have to say, in this card, if you look closely, the castle seems to be in the background, and the Ace of plans, Ace of Wands seems to be stepping over, walking away from that castle. So I don't know. I think, though, overall, this is pretty much telling me that he's going to be king. He's got all the tools that's necessary. He comes with the knowledge and the empathy that it requires, and he's got a big plan to make it happen. So yeah, I'm going to say in the Magic that Prince William will be king. Okay, I'm going to switch cards now, because right now we're going to talk about politics in the U.S. And this is DeSantis, Ron DeSantis, who is the governor of Florida right now. You know, he's from my hometown in Jacksonville, Florida. So amazing. And sad about that, I am. And then versus Charley Crist, who is the Democrat, who used to be a Republican, who also used to be a Republican mayor of, governor of Florida. So, and he's running against Ron DeSantis, who people are calling Ron DeSatan versus Charlie Christ. So, and the question is, just to do a reading on DeSantis versus Charley Crist since Hurricane Ian has hit Florida. So, supposing that that has something to do with that. And Smart, Savvy, and Loved is the is a Twitter friend. Thank you very much, Smart, Savvy, and Love, for asking this question. So, DeSantis versus Crist since Hurricane Ian. What can the cards tell us? Let's start with 3 and see if we want to go more. Okay, so 1, 2, and 3. DeSantis versus Crist, specifically after that hurricane. DeSantis versus Crist. First card. Ooh. Okay, the question starts DeSantis versus Crist. And the first card we get out of this is the Ten of Swords. Truth, justice, rules, and law. This is the end of a cycle. So this is telling me that DeSantis, because he's the beginning of that question, DeSantis versus Crist, he's not going to, it's not good for him. The next card up then, wow, is the Tower moment. Just to reinforce that, okay. And then the third card up is the Devil. Man, okay, not good cards. These cards focused on the question. It says DeSantis versus Crist since hurricane hit Florida. You could even think of it this way. You could think of it that this is the end of the cycle, some cycle. And the cycle right now is that because Charley Crist doesn't hold any office, is that Ron DeSantis' cycle will be over. And this Tower card could actually be Hurricane Ian. And then the final card here, this Devil card, just ill intentions all over this. And so this is, I think, saying, but these are two people tied to ill intentions. So we could say, if we stretch it a bit, that maybe DeSantis and Crist are somewhat tied to ill intentions. But overall, this looks like bad for DeSantis. That's what this says. So I would think Crist is probably he's going to make it. Okay, so I'm going to put these back. And we'll move on to the next question, which is a royal question. So Cy Mont, thank you very much, Cy Mont, for asking the question, and says, what Harry has to do to heal his relationship with William? What does Harry have to do to heal the relationship with William? And so that's interesting. I mean, that's supposing that it's Harry responsible for healing that relationship. I think it's a mutual thing, okay? So let's see. What does Harry have to do to heal this relationship with William? Simon, thank you very much for asking the question. 3 cards. 1, 2, 3. What does Harry have to do to heal this relationship with William? Okay. First card. 6 of Wands. Okay, this is a victory. Wands are actions, plans, forward movement. This 6 of Wands shows someone who's celebrating their victory. What does Harry have to do to heal his relationship with William? Maybe he has to be successful. Maybe that'll help. Next card for Harry is healing the relationship with William. 10 of Swords is the complete end of a cycle. So this could be saying, maybe we need to put this behind us. And then the last card is the Empress. Okay, so the Empress is you could almost think of the Empress like Mother Nature. And so this could be returning to loving, caring, warm environment. Man, you could even interpret this as Princess Diana. I mean, the blonde hair and a lovely Empress here. So what does Harry have to do to heal his relationship with William? Well, I think somewhere it said the best revenge is a life well lived. And so with this 6 of Wands being the victory card, I would say this: first thing he needs to do is separate himself from the family finances completely and show himself to be successful in his endeavor. I think that's the first thing. Maybe that's because that gives him respect. It's not really asking something from William, it's showing William something. Okay, so there's that. Be successful. The second thing looks like, I think it says, put all of this behind you. Let's kind of drop all the need to correct what's going on in the royal family. I think, you walk away from it, you leave it to them, that's their ball of wax, and put that behind you and just get on with your life. Start your new cycle, completely. And then the final card for that, what does Harry have to do to heal with William, is to show compassion. Okay, think about your mom. What would she want? She'd want these two guys to come together. And it looks like one of them is going to have to initiate that because they're not both moving in that direction. And so Harry would need to bring his mother's spirit through his actions, or perhaps, into this. So that's Simon, thank you. Then Diana Cornelius says, whose idea was it to refuse to give Harry's children their titles? I'm going to tell you. I mean, it's been reported on, and apparently it was always King Charles's intention to slim down that royal family. And if in fact now what's transpired is that Harry and Meghan are not working royals, it kind of seems to make sense to me. And plus, think about this. Princess Anne, I don't think she didn't have her children have royal titles, and her children's children don't have royal titles. And the same thing with Prince Edward. His children, I don't think, have royal titles. I could be wrong on that. Because I know they're known as Lady, whatever the child's name, Lady, whatever her name is, I've forgotten. And then the young man is maybe a master. Don't hold me to task on that. But, so, Diana, let's see. Whose idea was it to refuse to give Harry's children their names, their titles? I don't know if the cards can answer this, but we'll take 3. 1, 2, and 3. Let's see what we come up with. Whose idea was it to refuse to give Harry's children their titles? And in case you didn't know, what happens is they weren't necessarily due titles as prince or princess until they were the grandchildren of the monarch. Remember, they were the great-grandchildren of the monarch when Queen Elizabeth was alive, but now that Charles is the monarch, they are the grandchildren of the monarch, and as grandchildren of the monarch, per some previous king, I forget, maybe another Charles, had it so that all the way to the grandchildren they would have royal titles, and Prince Charles actually has to remove those. So whose idea was it to refuse those titles? The first one up, this is a Queen of Wands. This is interesting. Did this come down from the Queen herself before she went? So wands are actions, plans, and the Queen of Wands, I mean, it's a plan, it's an action, it's something that would be done going forward, and this is the Queen of Wands, and I think it's too much of a coincidence to think that this wasn't the Queen's, it probably heavily decided on by the Queen. But let's continue. The next card up, the Wheel of Fortune. And this Wheel of Fortune kind of looks angry. And so I think we have to kind of leave it at that, is that this is just what it seems like she decided it would have to be. And the final one for this is the Magician. Whose idea was it to refuse to give Harry's children their titles? And the Magician is the one who has all the tools at their disposal to make a thing so. It was the Queen, but now this is Charles. This is Charles. Charles has all the tools to make a thing so. You know what? I think it was a decision that was given a lot of thought by the Queen, and perhaps her opinion was known, but the one who has the ultimate authority to do it is Charles. And in my book, I don't think he's the best decision maker. But there's that. And then the last one from Lilise, Lilise is your name. I'm sure I'm not pronouncing it correctly, but Lilise, it says, is William totally on board with Camilla being queen? Is William, is Prince William, Prince of Wales, is he totally on board with Camilla being queen? Lilise says, or asks. And that'll be the last question. 3 cards. 1, 2, 3. Is William totally on board with Camilla being queen? First card. 7 of Pentacles. William, is he totally on board? And you got Pentacles are value, worth, and wondering if he did enough. I wonder if he's thinking, did he did enough to influence this decision? And interesting. The Ace of Swords. So this is interesting because Swords of Truth, Justice, Rules of Law, but this Ace of Swords is kind of beat up. You can see right here, this tree stump is kind of distressed. It's like raining, almost reminds me of tears. There's a bandage here and another bandage there, but this Ace of Truth, Justice, Rules of Law is resolute. Is William totally on board? And the last card for that is the Ace of Pentacles, value. And so this is finally a celebratory card of value. Is William on board? I think he is. I think what happened here is this is giving us the whole decision-making process. They came out in this order. So the first card is William on board with Camilla being queen, is that maybe he wondered if he'd done enough to influence that decision. Perhaps that she wouldn't be queen, or maybe he should have done more to make sure she was. I don't know, but he was worried that he hadn't done enough. And then, but then the next card up with this Ace of Swords is really kind of being a beat up advocate of truth, justice, rules, and law. But in the end, he comes up as the Ace of Value, and perhaps he is on board with this. It seems to be the most valuable decision for the monarchy. I think that's what's happened here. So the answer would be yes. So that's everybody's questions. Thank you so very much for asking. You don't know how much I love reading on the questions that you actually want to hear about. Thank you all so much for asking your questions. You don't know how much I appreciate it. And I hope you enjoyed the cards. And if you didn't, let me know. Let me know what you disagree with. I'm all up to that as long as you're nice. Okay? So ask me more, and I'll read on those too. Thanks. Hey, I'm going to show you the cards now. Hang on. So these are the Albano Weight Tarot. And who are these by? I think these are these U.S. Games? I'm not sure, to tell you the truth. But what these are for a fellow whose name actually is Albano. And they're done in the style of the Rider-Waite. But what makes them interesting is that they're very bright. I mean, they're just the typical color of the Rider-Waite cards, but somehow, wow, where the Pamela Coleman Smith cards have kind of a foggy tinge over them, these are just really shockingly bright. And the hint to that is that the backs of them are so white. I mean, gold and really, really white. So, you know, these are just like all the Rider-Waite cards that you've ever seen that are pretty straightforward. And but the colors really pop. And so, oh, they probably look really great on the camera too. But I love using these. Let me turn this light off I've got on over here, because that kind of doesn't give them a true color. So, well, there you go, the Albano Waite Tarot. I don't know what company they come from, crazy enough, but they're great cards. And I just spread them out like this so you can get an idea, you know, what different cards look like, and maybe help you figure out if you want to buy something I've been using, or you know, if you're just nosy like I am. I just used to always like to know, wondered what the cards look like that the readers were using. So it's a good way to shuffle them up. If you're doing a read for somebody, that's not a bad way to let them get their hands on the card, get some energy in there. Albano Waite Tarot. Okay, so this is a very interesting deck that I have now called Mystical Medleys, a vintage cartoon tarot. This is such a cool deck, and I've had it for a little while. I mean, it's absolutely new, but I've had it for maybe a couple, 3 weeks practicing with it. And the box is amazing. It's a good, sturdy box. You'd expect you got a nice perfume, perhaps, in a box like this. And this is artwork by Gary Hall. And this is published, I presume, or distributed at least, by Sterling Ethos out of New York. Okay, very interesting. Minute. What happens is this box opens from the bottom. Okay, so you flip this open, and then you have this creature right here, which I've forgotten the name, but I'll see it in a minute because I'm going to look at the guidebook and tell you about it, and then bring up the example of it on my phone. But so this is how you open the box from the bottom. That opens down. This slides out. And then now what you have is this inner case with a very faint kind of watermark of this animal on the front. If you look inside the case, and I hope you can see it, inside there is a little star, which for me is temperance. Okay, or it could be the star card itself. It's got 2 cups, a cup in each hand, which is typical of the star card, finding that balance. And so that's, I love it when they've gone to the trouble to include some little secret treasure for you inside the box. Now, inside here, if you take these cards out, inside this box, we have the sun. Okay, so the sun card. I hope you can see that too. Okay, and there's a little watermark on this side. There's none on the other side, and I'll show you why that's important. The other thing that comes with this card, or this deck, are 2 extra cards, Sad Squirrel and Happy Squirrel, for divination. And the guidebook tells you how you would divine those, and that brings us to the guidebook. So again, this little creature is a very beautifully done kind of book. And so if you gave this as a gift, or if you were getting it as a gift, you'd feel very glad that you got it. And it has a nice introduction here, which is speaking to Gary's inspirations to coming into this. And it starts out like so many good stories. It all started with the devil, and that's what that animal signifies here. I've always been fascinated by magic, the occult, and the imagery of the tarot. I own several decks, from the fully usable traditional ones to more modern artistic ones, and have always dreamed of creating my own in some way. Now, I want to find the name of this little devil here, and so it's going to take me just a minute to read through this, because, gosh, I can't remember. Baphomet. Okay, so the creature that we're looking at then is the Baphomet. That's what this guy is. So if you put these together, right here, you see that is the cartoonish depiction of a Baphomet. And let me show you what a Baphomet is. Let's say define Baphomet. And we'll get a picture here. So this is the Baphomet. And this is a deity that supposedly the Knights of the Templar would have I don't want to say worshipped, but had an occultic interest in. And so the first card that Gary Hall created was that Baphomet. And then from that, the rest sprung. So let's see, how am I going to do the rest of this? Yeah. Now, the cards themselves are a good weight. They're easy to use. They fit well in your hand. But the fantastic thing is how beautiful these cards are. This artist, Gary Hall, has a kind of ropey quality to his art, kind of a rubber hose kind of an effect. If you look at like the arms and so that's his style, and so the cards are very interesting. It took a little bit of studying them before I felt comfortable using them for divination. Okay, there's no reason, because they do pretty easily. They're pretty recognizable as the Rider-Waite system, but still, for whatever reason, maybe I was just so distracted by the artwork. I spread the cards out like this so that if you don't get to see a lot of cards, then at least you've seen them here, and you can decide if these are cards that you like and would like to use. I was always curious to see more than just a few cards that a reader would pull out during the presentation. So there we go. Well, I'm Mark. This has been My Journey Through Tarot. I'll be doing it again tomorrow if you want to go, so stop on by. Ciao for now.
1, 2, 3.
You really make a big difference. Thank you.